very well. We're going to keep this short and sweet because I know sometimes these morning calls are light, so at least that will be able to be respectful to everybody. Everybody knows each other here. We don't have to get into all this stuff. I know I have to say, talk to your attorney and talk to your accountant. So I got that out of the way. Andy, is it the speed networking going on this next Thursday?
Yes. Yep. Speed networking is the game plan, and they have it planned out. And also, if you do some stuff on your phone, like when you're there, social media has the details, but you get to try to get a free drink ticket. So they'll be giving away alcohol for people who help us spread the word on social media.
All right. And now, does the speed networking actually start at 5:30 or does it start like around 7
It's going
o'clock?
to start a little bit later. It'll still be the like show up, register, check in, wander around for a little while, and then start the networking probably around like 6 or 6:30 ish. I don't know exactly when they're going to start it. They may wait till 7, but I don't think so. I think they're going to do it a little earlier than normal,
Yeah.
just because it's just a giant networking event. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people. There'll be a bunch of people there. So,
yep,
and that'll actually be great. Bring cards.
yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, you better get pen and paper and take out a lot of
You have
freaking.
to start using the if you have an iPhone, you can just touch the iPhones together and share your contact info now. You don't even need to have cards anymore.
I got cards. I'm old school. I'm sorry, Andy. I'm
All right.
sorry, but yeah. So yeah, we'll do is there was actually we didn't really have anything set to go over. I had some stuff I wanted to talk to people about. And I know Diane as the you're more residential, but
Hmm.
and then I know obviously Gabe, you are commercial, I should say storage, and then Leslie wants to do a little bit of everything. So I know I'll go over it again, but so because this is going to be a small group, we're going to cut this short. But I know a couple things I want to talk about real quick is obviously we're getting pretty close to Christmas. We got 13 Saturdays, 12, 13 Saturdays away. And then another thing was is which I've never heard of. Andy, I don't know if you have leveraging a lease on a commercial property. Have you ever heard of that? Hmm. I don't know if he's going
I
to
was
get.
muted. Like
Uh,
using it at to draw money, like on a note?
yeah,
Really? No.
yeah.
I mean, it makes sort
So
of sense because a commercial building is worthless without a tenant, but
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
So we ended up closing on that place. Finally, oh my God, it was like, oh, it took forever. We ended up closing on that place in Winton Village area there. We closed on our building, and we're just like, so we're like, okay, so we sent one of the guys that one of my partner's good friends. He does all commercial stuff. That's all he does, all commercial. Talks 100 miles an hour, makes me look like I'm asleep. And basically, so we're talking to him, and he goes, "Yeah, we can, he goes, first of all, you got a fantastic deal." I said, "Good." And then he goes, "Yeah, we can leverage the lease. We can do this to this." I'm like, this was just like, I don't know, about 3, 4 days ago. And I go, "What the heck is leveraging a lease?" And he goes, so he did a Chick-fil-A. And one of the guys, what he did was he needed money. And so he took the lease. He went to the bank and basically use that as collateral. Basically, what you do is you assign the rights. If you forfeit on the loan, prior to getting the loan, you assign the rights to that lease to the bank or the lender.
That's
Guy was
crazy.
able to pull out seven plus figures off that lease.
Yeah, I believe it. I
I
believe it
was
because
like,
if it's a Chick-fil-A, it's probably got at least a minimum 10-year to 15-year period for that building because they're build to suit usually.
yep. I was like, what? He
What bank did he use?
I don't know. I didn't get into all
Uh,
that. He was talking 100 miles an hour, Diane, and he was just going and I was driving and I literally almost went through a red light because I was like, wait a second. Because my mind started just, I'm trying to drive, talk, listen, and start thinking, which I can't do all that at once. And I was like, oh my God, leveraging a lease, and he goes, yeah, you can do that on any commercial property. And I'm like, I wonder if we can do that. I don't know if you can do that on residential stuff, but I'd never heard of it. So, which to me, I was like, man, in commercial space, I'm still just a baby. And I was like, I was fascinated by that. Basically, he goes, and then on the flip side of that, we bought the property at about 55 cents on the dollar, give or take, right around there. So now we can actually do two things. We can either go refi it out and pull out money, or if we had to, we can also leverage the lease. And then he talked about what you can do is that he had another guy because he wanted to because he had people in there and he wanted to do something with the lease. He wanted the better terms for the lease. So then he went to the he went to the tenant and said, "Look, I'll do this, this, and this, and this for your property. I want to renegotiate the lease." And they said, okay, no problem. So he actually got more money, better terms, and they were happy because he did all these upgrades to their property on his dime. At the same time, that landlord still made out on on that lease because now the lease, even though he put more money into that property, he increased the rent and then he vastly increased the value of that property all because he renegotiated the lease, which I never knew you could do. And I learned that over a phone call. I
That's
was
super cool.
I was like, what? Goes, oh yeah, there's tons of stuff we can do. Because our tenant is paying like, I don't know, 6,000 a month or whatever, but we want to get it higher. And he goes, don't worry, well, we can do this and we can do that. And it was very fascinating. Just when there's so much more to learn out there. I can't even, and I mean, does anybody here even want to do commercial or even, or even just to own?
yeah. Yeah, I'd love to.
To own
Yeah.
commercial. That's what I do.
Well, I know for you,
Oh,
I know for you, Gabe, but what I'm wondering though is that I don't know how you would, I don't know if you can do that on storage. I'm not really too sure. That's one of the things I wanted to
there,
find out
there,
about.
there's something similar. Actually, Andy sent me a text about a few months ago about a lease, something of a lease option. Do you remember that, Andy? I don't know if you sent, but it was very interesting. And after he sent me that text, Kristen Asman was talking about it from SVN, and then it just started getting more and more traction. And Scott Spear talked about it. I'm like, whoa, this thing's getting a little bit bigger and bigger. It's like it's an interesting concept. I'm like, this might work. I mean, I can find the text and show you what he talked about.
Yeah, it's
Yes. You mentioned on a home. Are you talking about just a residential?
I don't
And
know if you can do that in residential. That's the thing. It'd have to be something really huge. I don't know. I mean, this was all commercial, Leslie. That's the thing. I got to find out because I've never heard of anybody taking a lease on a commercial on a residential property. Never heard of that doing that. If it's a year or two lease or whatever, it has to be a strong tenant, and they want to see the credentials from that tenant. Chick-fil-A, you know, Starbucks, any of those anchor tenants. It was very fascinating. And um but I mean right now it's got because I think you told me you want to get into some bigger stuff, right?
yeah, I've been thinking and looking at that. Um, I haven't pursued it fully, and also haven't found anything that really stuck out for me yet. So,
Yeah, there's stuff, man. There's So there's gonna be things going up for sale. You know, the only thing I'm worried about right now is office build. I had someone bring me an office building, and I was not. I was
Medical
not.
office is probably the only thing I would be okay with right now, just because it's on fire. So,
That
and it has been.
100%.
And they're long-term tenants. They're not like, oh, I'm sorry, my hospital chain is going out of business. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, yeah. I know a guy who did that by RGH. He paid. It was in rough shape. He fixed it up, and he started renting it out. And he made the rents lower than everybody else, filled it up, and then started doing incremental increases. And I mean, from day one, because of the price he bought it at, he increased the value of it substantially. So yeah, he'll do those 100%. But try to find them. Right now, I'm avoiding office buildings. They'll say, well, you can convert them. I don't
I
want
have
to get.
I have a question. Have you guys heard of asset-backed securities?
I wouldn't know how that works. I don't know, Andy. Have you dealt with that?
No, I haven't done anything on that side. I've heard of it. I've seen some people post about it, but it's not because it's asset-backed securities. It usually falls more into like the alternate investing outside of real estate world where they're talking about Forex and crypto and all that kind of stuff. Gold,
Okay.
silver, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but I've heard even timeshares are doing that.
Well, everybody knows timeshares are a freaking nightmare ripoff scheme. So if it's associated with timeshares, I would probably steer clear of it just for ethical reasons. But that's just me.
Well, kind of from what I heard, it's the timeshare companies that are doing it. I think they somehow selling stuff on the secondary market. Like you might buy the timeshare and they somehow use that to sell something, I guess some securities or something on the secondary market, and then they're making their money that way.
I don't know. I don't do timeshares. I don't think I know anybody that does timeshares anymore. If I
Because
do,
there's
they usually
huge
yell at
class
me.
action lawsuits and all sorts of craziness around it because it's a freaking Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't. I
Yeah, you don't want to be on the buying end.
no way. No, I won't do that. Um, and then I know what tech was it there? Scott. I know I'll probably touch more upon it in the live when we're together in a couple of weeks, but getting toward the end of the year for it's October. For me, this is like my October 1st is like January 1st because I want to know what the heck I got going on going into next year because now with the especially I talked to some of the people, especially some of the newer people. Oh my God. I've been talking to some people like, yeah, I'm going to start the flip. I'm going to do this. And they're running tight on numbers. And some of them need paint jobs. Some of them need this outside work. And I'm like, how are you going to do? Because they need to sell it within a certain time. And which I would never purchase those to be that tight. I'm like, how are you going to paint in December or January? So like, I never thought of that. Exactly. So the winter flips is what I call them, and then going into October, going in the winter. We've literally only got whatever. If you're looking at a flip, I'm especially now. I had a conversation with somebody else the other day. I go, listen, because they wanted to close in 45 to 60 days. I go, I won't be able to do the work outside. I won't be able to get to this. I won't be able to do that. I won't definitely be able to paint. And I go, it's going to be longer hold times and more delays. So some of them don't care. Other people, you better, you have to have that conversation. So, and I'm sure, especially you, Gabe, when you deal with the storage and those places and they're dilapidated. Well, actually, you deal more in the stuff in the south, but anything in the north. you got to take that into consideration. Have you ever had that conversation with anybody over there?
No, unfortunately, I haven't had any conversations with anyone that's been like completely, dilapidated. I mean, actually, no, I lied. There was one, but I think it was in the south. Actually, yeah, I think it was the one Arkansas deal they lost, but yeah, that was the only one. But fortunately, so far, it's only been in this like the southeast and what have you. So there hasn't been the elements of the northeast or whatever to, cover that. So, but most properties, though, believe it or not, that I find are in decent shape. I mean, just the way it goes. I don't know, but
I think it's something to do with the type of construction, even if they're completely neglected, unless it's like 40 or 50 years old and under a bunch of trees, the steel is going to still be the steel.
yeah,
Yeah,
most is still buildings.
a few weeks ago we had John Bowman go out and look at a property for us in Ohio. It was a 30,000 square foot building, and it was sold because you mentioned trees and everything else, Andy. I mean, this place they used to build cranes in this
That's
place,
cool.
so the concrete was so thick, and we thought we had a fantastic deal. Ugh, it was only like $4 a square foot on this place. It was a $3+ million building, but it was just so bad. We had to we were like we walked away from it. Ugh, made me sick. 30,000 square foot with 30-foot peak, all steel. So, but it's all right.
Actually, Joe, I remember. Actually, I lied. I don't know if you remember the property in Missouri last year or the year before with that guy that lawyer from Miami who wanted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, it was 11 acres of land, if you remember. But the thing is 30,000 square feet or something. But the thing is, though, trees, when Shane went to go see it, trees were overgrowing and overlapping each other on top of the building. I mean,
Oh my
the
gosh.
doors, I mean, even though it's pretty much still construction, I remember that Shane got a quote for like $60,000 just for doors alone. And that's before the gate, before the fence. I mean, it was just a mess and a half. And that was the one property that was I remember, and it was in Missouri. So, that was yeah. That I mean, I think, but the thing is, we put that property under contract in March or April. Nonetheless, it was just a terrible, terrible mess, and the guy
Did
wanted
you,
stupid money for it.
did you end up
We sold
selling
it, by
it?
the way. Huh?
Did you end up getting it or no?
No, no, we lost because we couldn't agree on the terms, and he was just he thought that he wanted too much money for it. I mean, which because we had to put a lot of money into it, he didn't care. He's like, I don't care, I want my money.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, some sucker was out there and some sucker bought it. So more power to him. I don't know. Not my problem anymore.
Oh my God. That is so funny. And by the way, I know it's going to be a short call. You guys got any questions about anything? No? All right. So I know we're going to be when we get together, obviously, and actually this is going to go in for next week. Everybody and their grandmothers, because everybody's been suffering. So I heard as far as for finding properties, I have real estate agents that are calling me looking for properties. Agents, which is the craziest thing because the stuff on the MLS is way too much. And obviously, there's not a whole lot of it. So I heard that basically last year, almost about 47% of the real estate agents out there, 47% did between 1 and 2 deals for the whole entire year. Okay. 1 to 2 deals, which is try living on that. Now you got to think about this. If a real estate agent sells $100,000 house, they have a 50-50 split with the broker, their own broker, they make between 800 and 1,200 bucks. That's after taxes, after advertising, after everything. If they did a $200,000 house, you make between 1,600 and 2,400 bucks for a whole entire year. So just imagine that. That is absolute insanity. So everybody that I've been talking to, everybody that's been trying to find stuff is doing all through the networking. All of it. We're calling everybody. We've actually gotten we got 3 deals through the calls, two of which I'm looking at my board up there, two of which was because we were calling the real estate agents and all just strictly through the networking, which was all off market deals, which was fantastic. And then because of that, she's got a potential another 3 to 4 properties for us on top of that. Will we get them? I don't know. At the same time, we wouldn't have had them if we hadn't have made the phone calls. We're still doing the marketing, still doing the advertising. It's just that a lot of these people right now are calling, all of a sudden you go, they got 3 or 4 other guys going there. And we're finding a good majority of the properties just through the networking. That's how come next week with the speed networking. Man, if the agents that know about it don't show up, I think they're crazy because they could potentially do a lot for themselves. And the ones that do show up are usually the producers. So I mean, I can Diane or Leslie and you guys, I don't know how are you guys finding your properties? Are you guys finding them through agents or how are you guys finding them?
Well, I found I found a couple through agents. I found one for sale by owner. And there's 2 I've had that, but these are a little while ago. I got those in the auction, tax auction back in 2020.
Yeah. Hey,
Or
whatever.
2019 was the auction.
Yeah. I mean, Diane, what about you?
Yeah, I found my last one just over dinner with someone who wanted to sell it. I wanted to ask you though about the speed networking. When is that? I guess I hadn't heard about it.
Next week.
Next Thursday?
Yep. Normal meeting, general meeting.
Okay. I guess I
Yeah.
didn't have.
Is it the same location?
Yeah, it's still at Eagle Vale. It's
Okay.
5:30. Show up, grab beers.
So on the 10th, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it just
Perfect.
feels
All right.
early this month because today is what, the 3rd?
Yeah.
So
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, I mean the networking, too. Plus we had another realtor who we ended up calling him, he ended up calling us back, and so we ended up getting a deal over there, which we're signing out, and it's crazy because I was looking at it, I was thinking about this morning, just making off those phone calls are on those 2 deals were somewhere right around. The Simon fees on that's just shy of right around 29,000 through the networking. Okay. And
Networking meaning you called realtors instead of waiting for them.
anybody, we're calling everybody, Diane. We're reaching
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
The networking part, a lot of people say, okay, you have to be able to make your phone ring. You make your phone ring by actually picking up the phone and calling them, and then I'm calling back and following up. And
Got it.
so a ton of people right now aren't doing, listen, and by the way, that's not obviously we're paying people, we're splitting, we got marketing, all that other stuff at the same time. And then yesterday, like I actually have to write up a purchase offer today. We just got a 3rd property, which I went to with a buyer. Can't believe I actually sold this house. Oh my God. And but yeah, so and that's all through it's called. That was through another guy. He ended up calling me because it was just this place was a disaster. And but we were still able to find a buyer for it. He had hit a little bit of a hard time finding a buyer for it, but we ended up doing that yesterday afternoon. So it's there's stuff out there, but I tell everybody just network your ass off. And especially Gabe calls everybody and their grandmother. I know you do, and that's how you make your phone ring. And then Gabe, I'll bet you people once in a while call you back down the road, don't they?
Not very often, but they do every so often. Yeah,
Really?
It does. It's far and few between, but that's okay because I can't wait for them. I'm too impatient. I got to follow up with them. I'm like this one guy I talked to the day before yesterday. After a year, we finally connected. Well, not after a year. I'm sorry. We've been working with him for a year, and he's in. I said he's in Louisiana, and so I was talking to him, and he's getting upgrades down on his property, and he wants to, you know, and stuff like that. But he wants to sell it. He wants to get his brothers involved to sell it, and because they're all spread all over the U.S. So he said to me, well, send me another email with your contact information. Because he said, no, first he said, yeah, we want to put it on the market the first of the year because I don't want to do it the last quarter, holidays. I'm like, I get it. He goes, but we want to put on the market the first of the year. I said, no, go through me. Let's cut out the commissions, cut out all that crap. I'm your guy. He's like, yeah, perfect. So he goes to me, send me your email with an email with your contact information. I'll call you after the first of the year. I'm like, okay, I'll give you to January 5th. But after that, I'm calling you and I'm going to hound you. I said that respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I was like, I can't depend on people to call me back because unless they're, even, what I found in my experience, that even the super motivated seller, so to speak, they just forget to call. I don't know why, but whatever. It's okay. It's part of the business. And
or they lose your number. I was trying to find your number. I was trying to find it.
Yeah. So I'll call him. I know I will, and that's okay. I mean, and you talk, Joe, about follow-up people, is that following up with people and stuff. Is last year there's a facility that in Ohio, about an hour away from Akron, Ohio, they said no. And okay. So I called them again a couple months ago, and now they want to sell because his wife unfortunately passed away. And, they want to get something going. Now, I'm almost done with the underwriting. Actually, I wanted to bring Scott in on this one because I'm like, I think I want to buy this one actually. So We're trying to actually, see what we can do. So I know he's at the conference. You go, no, I'll send you the email, work on it. Let's collaborate. Let's see what we can do and make him an offer. But the interesting part is though, is that, again, is that the guy last year said no, but you just keep on going and going and going. And you never know what you do. And now I just stick on him like glue. It's like, I don't care. I want to see what you can do. Because someday everyone's going to say yes. Unless they say hard no and take me off your list, please. Yeah, I get that. Okay, fine, respectfully, I will. But if they don't say don't call me again, I call them again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of the guys who does our calls, he has a saying, I keep calling till they get a restraining order against me. That's what he does, and it's paid off for him. He doesn't bother them to a point, but it's paid off for him. Yeah. And I don't know if can you guys have any questions about anything?
Can I ask a question actually?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is related to the topic of the meeting, but I want to know. I mean, this is in relation to commercial properties and of course storage. I asked this question before maybe, but I haven't really dived deep into it. But cap rates, right? I know what our models are, of buying. Like I'm going to really get to self-storage, so forgive me if I go into that. But buying a self-storage facility at a 10 cap, selling it at a 8 cap now, or 7 cap actually. But I'm finding a lot of sellers though that are, that I talk to them and they want to sell their properties, that I can't make the numbers work because they want to sell and they want to sell like a 7 or 8 cap. Now, the thing is too, is I always hit them home with owner financing, and some are just dead set against it. I'm like, they're aware of the capital gains implication. They're aware of that. They're just like, I don't care. I want to cash out and get out. said, okay. So I underwrite the property, and I just can't make it work because right now SBA loans I think are at where are they 10 to 14%, Andy? I forgot what they are, but SBA 7 loans and stuff. So the trick is, or the question of the day is that how do you buy a property at an ACAP when interest rates are so high? Like where is that spread, Like is that even possible or because there's just so many deals, not deals, I apologize. There's so many properties of people that, that do want to sell, but they're I don't see they're stuck on their price. But and then I look at the Crexy and LoopNet, and deals are closing at like 6 caps, 7 caps. I'm like, how are these deals closing? Yet I'm going off market and I can't find a stinking buyer for a 7 or 8 cap,
Yeah, but you got to remember too, some of these people that are buying, they'll do a 1031, they'll pay a little bit more to save on the taxes, Gabe. So everybody's different. Some people have to park the money. It's just finding them. There's different rationales, and I mean, um, just for us, it doesn't fit our criteria.
Yeah.
I had a real estate agent call me on a storage facility in Missouri, and it's been out there for a little while. This was just last week. And then he goes, yeah, Joe, it's still available. He lowered it a little bit. I'm like, that's not enough. Still there. Yeah, we're selling it. It's like a seven cap, 7.5 cap. I'm like, for me, when I deal with the owner, I have I'll say, listen, I don't put it doesn't work for me. I say, look, the bank may not want to give me financing on this. They may not because the numbers are so tight. There's no room for error. If it was 2 years ago, the interest rates were half the price, sure, no problem. So what I do is I just put it all on the bank and on the lenders, and I go, by the way, our model is to go we have private lenders we work with. They charge us a higher interest rate than we go refi it out. So if it's $1 million and we borrow $1 million on your property, most of them don't do 100% finance. Let's just say we do. And we're paying 10 to it's just 12%. That's $10,000 a month we're paying on it. So our goal is to get a refinance out as fast as possible. The problem is when we go to the bank, they're only going to finance us at 80% maximum, which means we're going to have to come up with $200,000 out of pocket to make it work. And then we have the carrying cost of $10,000 per month plus double close. So I start adding up the numbers for them. And Gabe, if they don't care, some of them just don't care. T&C, time and circumstances. I know a guy that was selling selling hundreds of units here in Rochester, and I wanted there was 50 of them, and he was at 2.8 million, and then he came down to 2.5. And then he had one. It was after a whole mess of time gone by. He finally accepted an offer for 2.3, and that deal died. And it's still on the market right now, still there. So because I told him I wouldn't even have a 2 in front of it. He'll get there. He will get there. I go, my number is going to have a 1 point something million in front of it. It'll be close to a 2, but it's not going to have a 2 in front of it. I can't do it, and the bank's not going to finance me. So there's no right or wrong answer or way to answer that. But
yeah, I think also at the same time, it would be, I would say, in my best interest to also, I have built my network of buyers that fit our buy box and buying criteria, such as yourself, Spear, and all of us. But at the same time, to find that group of buyers, and they're out there to.
It's tough.
It is tough, but not impossible.
You are correct. You are correct.
I think if I can connect with those types of buyers, maybe, if I can, there's this, like I said, there's, for a perfect example, there's this one property in Sherwood, Arkansas, about 10 minutes from Little Rock. The guy wants to sell at an ACAP. period. End of story. ACAP, done. No, I don't care. He says, don't you dare. I'm like, okay. So, I didn't pursue it that much further because he's not willing to negotiate. But I'm thinking to myself, well, there's got to be someone out there that wants to buy an ACAP. I'm like, I
Well,
gotta stick.
why don't you advertise? I see people do.
Mhm.
Say, hey, listen, I wholesale out, storage. I'm a storage wholesaler. If you're looking for properties, let me know. You could do that. Say, look, I locate off-market deals. Yeah. You'll get tons of calls.
Yeah.
Say, listen, what cap rate or what area, and you'll start. People will call you. They will. You watch. Put that ad out enough. You'll start to get calls.
Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, what I do with people, you got to be careful. And whether I do it on residential too. I need to get this price. I need to get this price. And I find out they've owned it for a long time. I go, listen, respectfully, obviously you own this place a long time, put a lot of, sweat into this place. It's done well for you. And I mean this very respectfully when I say this. I don't think you want to sell this place. It's like subconsciously, which is because the numbers won't work if I go to a bank. And I think that, and that's okay. You can ask whatever you want. At the same time, subconsciously, oh yes, I do. No, you don't. Then I start going back and forth to them. So then I start getting them thinking, okay, maybe I really don't. Why am I stuck at this number? Then I've done it tons of times, and then they say, does it always, make them think and come back? No. At the same time, there's been a lot of times where they have. I'm like, listen, subconsciously, I'm thinking you are having a very hard time letting go of this. And that's okay. I hope you keep this place, and that's okay. It's just that the banks right now will not make this deal work for me. I can already tell right now. That's all you do. And that way you're not putting it on you, you're putting it on the banks and on him. But yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else set with questions? Because if you are, we're going to cut this short unless anybody has any other questions. If that's okay with Andy.
I'd say we are okay. We'll post this up on YouTube because there's some good stuff. People want to log in and check it. They can do that, catch what they missed and all that other good stuff. I'll post it up on Facebook once it's loaded.
Thursday night, I'm going to get into way more details about some of the stuff we talked about and stuff that's going on. Because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yep. We just got to get the information over to Kayla, make sure she's got it for the social media blasts and all that kind of stuff.
We'll do that. All right. I appreciate you guys showing up this morning. You guys have a great day. Go do real estate. Thank you.
You too.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
All right. Bye. Bye.